she gave you something? I did not print out an attendance list. Why don't you let me go do that?
And then we will all be sitting there
While you're right there.
ask this question.
Because that's all you have right now. Completely forgot to print her out an attendance sheet. Let me go. That is, yeah, there's 2 amendments, but yeah. And the 2, yes, committee resolutions.
Committee resolutions.
Yeah.
Committee resolution on there?
Yeah, it's in there. It's on the back.
Oh.
Those are the resolutions in the back. It's all there. Absolutely. I'll be right back.
Quite an entrance.
We get no money to repair that if it breaks.
Peter, if I turn this around, can you see the time coming down? Would it be helpful for it to be this way for them? Or just the,
I think the lights are enough. It'll confuse them if we have a one-way during our house and the other way during theirs.
yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's the other point. It's not like they're really going to pay attention. The lights give enough information.
I think these are the last ones.
At least they're not green out of the World Cups anymore. Prison yard. It's starting to wither and die.
What about the plants that just built on the roof? It just, I didn't think that was intentional. It looks like weeds just.
Yeah, it's that whole.
Testing, testing.
Maybe we could do a community garden program. We watched too. We can't wait for.
Testing.
I'd like to call the order the Committee on House Administration for today's committee markup. The meeting record will remain open for 5 legislative days so that members might submit any materials they wish to be included. And a quorum is present, so we will proceed. Today we have 3 items before the committee. First of all, House Resolution 115, which is the Omnibus Committee Funding Resolution, which will authorize committee budgets for the 113th Congress. We also have a committee resolution to approve franked mail allowances for committees for the 113th Congress, and an original resolution relating to an election contest that happened in the 28th Congressional District of Texas. Every Congress, this committee holds hearings to examine the budgetary needs of House committees to help ensure that they have adequate resources. This funding process, perhaps one of our most important responsibilities of this committee, can significantly impact the legislative process as committees bear the lion's share of Congress's workload. Last week, we had 2 informative days of hearings where we heard from all of the chairs and the ranking members of the 19 House committees that came before us. And we certainly heard some very compelling and thoughtful testimony from each of the chairmen and the ranking members about their respective budgets and their commitment to uphold the equitable 2/3, 1/3 allocation between the majority and the minority offices. And most importantly, they talked about how they were going to do more with less, which is a certainly a topic that we are all very, very familiar with. Leading by example, the House cut committee budgets by approximately 11% in the last Congress, the largest cut to committee funding since the 104th Congress. And today we're faced with yet another cut, this time obviously triggered by the sequestration. After much deliberation and consultation with each committee, we had to make some very difficult choices. And that, of course, like all of our MRAs, the committee funding authorizations have to be adjusted to reflect the reduced spending levels detailed in the sequestration order. To match the post-sequestration funding level, the total authorization for House committees must be reduced by 11% from the 2012 level. Therefore, with few exceptions, each committee authorization has been reduced by 11% or within a percentage point or so of 11%. And we base this on their anticipated workload for the 113th Congress. The Budget Committee, the Committee on Ways and Means, and the Select Committee on Intelligence have been given slightly smaller reductions. Most committees will be faced with tremendous oversight responsibilities in 2013. However, given the current state of our economy, sequestration, the dire need for tax and entitlement reform, and the increasing cyber threats to our digital infrastructure, these 3 committees have a particularly daunting agenda and therefore require some reprieve from the authorized reductions. To accommodate for these exceptions, we've adjusted the authorizations of budget committees based on their ability to absorb a slightly larger reduction in 2013. Again, we certainly, all of us, every one of us, understand the challenges of trying to stretch our resources, and we just have to try to absorb these cuts as best as we can. And I know that every committee, including this, will continue to function at a very high level, even with reduced resources. Our second item for consideration is a committee resolution to approve franked mail allowances for the committees for the 113th. This resolution limits $5,000 per year for each committee's franked mail. And our third and last item on the agenda is an original resolution to dismiss the election contest in the 28th District of Texas. And with that, I would now recognize our ranking member, Mr. Brady, for his opening statement.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, and thank you for convening this markup and for working with us on all the scheduling issues last week with regards to our marathon hearings. I do urge this committee to oppose this resolution. We imposed the equivalent of a sequester on all House committees in 2011, 2012, so we're already well ahead of the curve. Those cuts, as we heard in detail from chairs and ranking members last week, have already created significant hardships in paying the salaries of staff, conducting oversight travel, and holding hearings. These are not luxury we can simply wish away while to continue to be able to conduct the people's business. To pile on further with automatic sequestering cuts devoid of any rational basis and to furlough our staff would cause damage to the legislative process and to the people make it possible for us to operate. It is cutting off our nose to spite our face. We should look for all opportunities to alleviate the impacts of the cuts. That is why I will later offer a substitute amendment to freeze funding at the level of 2012 resolution and to manage our House finances in a more suitable manner. I urge my colleagues to oppose this resolution. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
I thank the gentleman for his opening statement, and I would ask if any other members of the committee have an opening statement. The chair recognizes Mr. Gingrey.
Well, Madam Chairman, I want to thank you for calling the markup today on committee funding for the 113th Congress. As you know, with the implementation of the sequester on March the 1st, across-the-board spending cuts did take effect. Last week, this committee had a chance to hear from our colleagues, the chairman and ranking members of each House committee, about how they would handle the impact of the sequester. I believe that this committee has acted in a deliberative and a fair manner when determining committee budgets for this 113th Congress. Each committee serves an important function, and while all will have to continue to produce good work with less, I'm confident that they will succeed in doing that. Today's markup gives us an important chance to show that as families across the country struggle to make ends meet, this committee and the House as a whole plan to lead by example. So thank you, Madam Chairman, and I yield back.
Thank the gentleman. The first item on the agenda is consideration of the House Resolution 115, the Omnibus Committee Funding Resolution for the 113th Congress. Again, as I've said in my opening statement, we have talked to every chairman, every ranking member. We recognize the cuts are difficult, but it is flatlined in the CR, and there simply is a finite pot of money to go around. And I would hope that the committee would support the resolution. I would recognize the ranking member, Mr. Brady, if he has any comment.
Yes, Madam Chair, if it's appropriate, I'd like to offer an amendment to nature of substitute.
Yes.
Thank you. My amendment is very simple. I propose we freeze each committee's authorization for this year and next year at last year's level. Under my approach, House committees' funding will have been the same for 3 years, unchanged since we last reduced funding at the beginning of 2012. I don't believe there's a member of this House who couldn't defend a 3-year freeze on continuing funding. As a former chairman of this committee, it appeals to me because it offers every committee chairman and ranking minority member certainty. Every committee knows it can work with this figure and accomplish what it needs to accomplish to fulfill its responsibility to the House and the American people, because it has already done so. Second, it makes sense. During our hearings, the chairman of our Oversight on Government Reform Committee, Mr. Issa, took great pride in ascertaining that through the work of his committee, he had saved government 1,000 times what the committee had spent last year. This is a handsome return on the investment. I'm certain that other committees could legitimately make the same boost, and that being the case, why should we not invest this year or next in any committee that we invested last year? Third, it bears pointing out that no committee is required to spend every dollar is authorized to spend. In fact, several committees, including this one last year, returned hundreds of thousands of dollars to the Treasury after judging they had accomplished their work, and no doubt will do again this year and next. No chairman or ranking member is required to spend everything authorized, but my approach gives effective chairman resources to earn the kind of return that Mr. Issa boasts of. My amendment would do one other thing along these lines. It would require each committee at the end of this year to report back on how much the agency it oversees has saved. This will give each chairman and ranking minority member the opportunity to demonstrate how much they help to save. I urge the support of my amendment and yield back the balance of my time.
Thank the gentleman for that. I should have called up the resolution and said that the first reading of the resolution is dispensed with. And the resolution is considered read and open for amendment, at which time you amended it, and I certainly appreciate that. And I appreciate the amendment, which will be considered as read. I would only say this. It certainly is a difficult time to be involved at the federal level as far as our budgeting, but no more difficult than what is being recognized, certainly by the American people, having come through a very difficult economic transition here. And I think the House certainly has led by example. We did have a 5% cut in 112, and followed by a 6 in the 6th percentile cut, now an 8% cut to our own individual MRAs, which happened just a week ago. And these are very difficult choices for us all to be making as members of Congress within our own MRAs. And now as we look at what is happening with the committees, particularly when we think about during the time that the House has really been leading by example, the executive branch for non-discretionary defense for non-defense discretionary spending has gone up, I think 16.7% during the same time, and yet we are challenged. All of our committees are challenged with exercising the appropriate oversight. So it is a difficult time, and I appreciate the gentleman's sentiments, not to cut the committee's budgets, but the money has to come from somewhere else then. If there is an offset, I'm not sure if you have an offset in mind, but at any rate, I will be opposing the gentleman's amendment, but I certainly appreciate the spirit in which it's offered, and I would ask if there are any other members that want to speak to the amendment.
Madam Chair?
Gentlelady from California.
I'd just like to briefly speak in support of Mr. Brady's amendment. It is true that this is a difficult environment, and certainly each one of our personal offices has received reductions, and I haven't heard any members coming in asking for relief from that. And I think that that's appropriate. We know that's where we live, and we have to manage that. But some of these committees, as the ranking member said, is going to save us a lot of money. And I know that this isn't the position you wish to be in either, but I really would hope that we might at least keep flatline funding and see how many savings can be accomplished by the committees within those budget limits. Because I know in the last Congress there were committees that said, you know, that they didn't have enough, and yet through prudent management they were able to give money back, and I give credit for that. But some committees, given the workload they have, it's just not going to be possible for them to do that and to fulfill the duties that we've asked them to do. So I would hope that we could do this on a sort of salary savings basis and maybe revisit where we are in a couple of months and see how the spending levels are down and see what maneuvering we might be able to make. I would recommend that as an alternative to the offset that's not included into the amendment.
Comments? Are there any other comments? If not, the question is on the amendment to the resolution. All those in favor of the amendment signify by saying yea. Yay. Those opposed signify by saying nay. Nay. In the opinion of the chairs, nays have it, the nays have it. The amendment is not agreed to. Are there any other amendments? Gentlelady from California.
I have an amendment, which I would offer now. It is.
Gentlelady is recognized for 5 minutes to speak on her
Thank you.
amendment.
And I don't know that I'll take the full amount, but I have served on a variety of different committees in this House, on the Judiciary Committee, the Science Committee, the Homeland Security Committee, the Ethics Committee, this committee, and I am mindful that the Judiciary Committee is about to engage in a level of activity that I don't think the funding is going to help them meet that obligation. As you know, there's been tremendous discussion about gun violence, and in talking to Mr. Goodlatte just a few hours ago, our efforts relative to the Second Amendment are going to be very time-consuming, and I know that on both sides of the aisle we want that to be done properly. I don't doubt that you feel the same way. I would add also that there's been tremendous speculation, and I think accurate, that we may finally be able to work on a bipartisan basis on immigration reform. I can assure you, as the ranking member of that subcommittee and former chairperson of the immigration subcommittee, that Mr. Gowdy and I will work together very collaboratively, but the job is a massive one, and my amendment would allow the Judiciary Committee just to retain its current funding. That will mean reductions in staff in some cases, but at least if we were to do that for this, the remainder of this fiscal year, we might have an opportunity to actually accomplish those two weighty goals and be able to take the reduction in the following year. So that would be my amendment, Madam Chair, and I thank you for allowing me to offer it with these brief comments.
I appreciate the amendment of the gentlelady from California, and again, I appreciate sincerely the spirit in which it was offered. In fact, in regards to the judiciary, you're absolutely right, and we did hear that testimony from both the chairman and the ranking member about step-by-step immigration reform as we go forward as a distinct possibility of that happening during this session, perhaps this year, and certainly in regards to Second Amendment. as well in some of the various proposals that are floating around here on both sides. I think there is going to be quite a workload by the judiciary, and really as a consideration of that, that is, you see that judiciary's percentage cut is lower than some of the other committees. Again, I recognize the tremendous workload that judiciary and the other committees as well are absorbing, or will have, and are absorbing these cuts, and just a difficult time as well. So I will be opposing the gentlelady's amendment. Again, I appreciate the spirit in which it has been offered. Any other members have comments in regards to the amendment?
Madam Chairman, I would just,
Mr. Schock.
thank you. I would just add that with regards to both the amendments that my friends on the other side of the aisle have offered, it is frustrating that these cuts are having to take effect across the board, really in essence of how they're happening because of the sequestration. And I would just say that, you know, the House has done its work in passing an alternative to sequestration. Unfortunately, the Senate did not reciprocate, and so we're having to move forward with these cuts. I do think it's a discussion we need to have moving forward with any other further deficit reduction measures that the House and Senate agree to, because of the point that was raised by the chairwoman, which is when I came to Congress 5 years ago, discretionary spending from 2008 to 10 went up by 40%. The executive branch received 16% increases in their spending, and certainly our MRAs and committee staff salaries and budgets did not increase by those amounts. So I think when we look at reducing the size of government and making cuts in future deficit reduction measures, we need to look historically at how fast certain agencies have grown when we go about our cutting, because I think the point that the minority is making is a relevant one, which is the work that we do in the House is an important one to accountability within these agencies and accountability of the federal government, and also in good lawmaking. And the reality is no other agency or unit of government can do that which these committees are charged with, or us as elected representatives with our MRA do. The casework that we do, the accountability that we administer to these agencies on behalf of our constituents is an important function, and there's no one else that can do that. And so I certainly share these concerns. I'm equally frustrated by the kind of across-the-board cuts that are having to happen, but we are where we are today. I would simply say by, in my view, the inaction of the Senate to give us a scalpel as opposed to a hatchet. And so now we will, moving forward, I think, have to hopefully include these thoughts in our next efforts to right-size our budget. With that, I'll yield back.
Any other member wish to speak to the amendment?
Yep. Madam Chair.
Mr. Brady.
Thank you, and I speak in favor of the gentlelady from California's amendment. And I sat here with these hearings, and I asked every chairman and ranking member about their staff, and I find myself a little perplexed here, because if we would do flatline, or we would do some other way other than cutting some budgets, we're probably, I'm sitting here helping the other party getting 2/3 more than my party would get 1/3 more. And I tell you that to say this: I do that not because I want people to get an increase or to be able to hire more people. I worry about the people that they attract, especially judiciary. I worry about every staff member on all these committees, especially judiciary, because most of them need a legal background. And I wonder how we attract them. And then we attract them, and when we do, how do we keep them? We tell them we're going to, not only we attract them, we're proud to bring them in. I know they're all dedicated, but when you got to pay a mortgage, you can't pay with dedication. You can't pay car payments. You can't pay schooling with dedication. And I wonder, and I worry about, and every chairman and ranking member agreed that they're having a hard time, A, attracting them, B, keeping them with their institutional knowledge. And I understand that we have to do cuts. We're going to do it. No complaints. We're doing our own MRA, and it is what it is. But I wonder about the effectiveness of this House and how we can truly do the people's business when we can't get qualified people, and more so we can't keep qualified people. So that's why I would support this amendment, and I appreciate your time, and I yield back mine. Thank you.
Thank the gentleman's comments. Any other members? All those in favor of the amendment will signify by saying yea. Those opposed will signify by saying nay. Nay. In the opinion of the chairs, the nays have it. The nays have it. The amendment is not agreed to. Are there any other amendments? If not, I move that the committee favorably report House Resolution 115 to the House and the questions on the motion. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying yea. Yea. Opposed say nay. In the opinion of the chair, the yeas have it. The yeas have it. The motion is agreed to. Without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid upon the table. Does any
Madam Chair?
Mr. Brady?
Yeah, I'd like to announce that the minority members will request 2 additional calendar days provided by Clause 2L of Rule 11 of the Rules of the House in order to file reviews.
Without objection.
Thank you.
All right, we're to the next item. Very well. The next item on the agenda is consideration of Committee Resolution 113-5, which is the committee franking resolution. Again, this committee resolution essentially caps the amount of franked mail that all the respective committees can utilize at $5,000, I believe is the number. And I will be supporting the resolution. Hope that the committee sees fit to pass the resolution. Ask the ranking member if he has any comment. So I call up and lay before the Committee Resolution 113-5. Without objection, the first reading of the resolution is dispensed with, and the resolution is considered read and open for amendment at any point. Is there any amendment to the resolution? If there are no amendments, I move the committee agree to the committee resolution, and the question is on the motion to agree to the resolution. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Motion carried. In the opinion of the chairman, the motion is agreed to, and without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid upon the table. And the last item that we have before the committee is an original resolution to dismiss an election contest which happened in the 28th District of Texas. I think this is a very simple resolution. I would ask the ranking member if he has any statement on the resolution.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I join you in recommending dismissal of this frivolous election contest. I yield back the balance of my time.
I appreciate that. I will now call up and lay before the committee the original resolution, and without objection, the first reading of the resolution is dispensed with, and the resolution is considered read and open for amendment at any point. So is there any members that want to offer an amendment to the resolution? If not, I move the committee favorably report the original resolution to the House. Questions on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying yea. Yea. Opposed say nay. In the opinion of the chairman, the yeas have it. The motion is agreed to. Without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid upon the table. And for all of the matters that the committee has considered today, I ask unanimous consent that the staff be authorized to make technical and conforming changes if necessary. Without objection, so ordered. And this concludes all the matters before the committee. And I certainly want to thank all the members for their participation, their thoughtful amendments, thoughtful conversation. And with that, the meeting is adjourned.
She dumped me at the altar. She was in my car, carrying her bags, ready to go, and she says, I'm out of here.